Welcome everyone who is listening back to Life, People, and the Pursuit of Art. This is episode, oh my gosh, this whole COVID thing is like really just like messed up my time space continuum. I think this is episode 4. This is episode 4. And today I have a longtime friend of mine. She is known as Maggie May. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes. This is so before I go into kind of like the questionnaire style of this podcast, what have you been up to? I haven't talked to you in like fucking forever.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So I've just been really trying to focus on putting out new music. I know with the way things are right now, live shows aren't really possible. And at first it was kind of hard to stay productive with that mindset and having to cancel so much.
Yeah.
But I have an album that I am working on. It's my second one coming out May 24th. And originally that was going to be at Fulton Street Pub in Grand Rapids, but I think it'll probably be online now. I don't imagine bars will be open by then.
Yeah.
So, and I'm currently writing and getting the artwork done for 2 different EPs.
Okay.
I've been trying to just stay productive. So
yeah. Okay. Well, good. Oh man. Hold on, let me get these pulled up. Oh shit, I forgot to mention. If there's ever like a weird moment where like if I'm stumbling, you're stumbling, just kind of like pause and just like start over, because I literally just couldn't obviously cut that part out. And then cussing is fine. As long as you're not like saying fuck, shit, ass every like 3 words. And then I might have to periodically like stop and go like tame the dog that we have, because he likes to bark a lot and it tends to leak into the audio. So
no worries. Loud cats. So
yeah.
I understand they might have to get let in at some point. I'm happy I locked them out. So
okay. Yeah, that was forgot to mention those things before we get started. So now
I wasn't sure if it was like a live thing or what, so that makes me breathe a little easier knowing that.
Yeah. No, I honestly have not figured out how to do like live streaming. I don't have an interest for that. I'm very like picky.
No, I guess.
But obviously there's more to what you've been doing, but off air you've kind of requested not to talk about some things. So I guess I'll just dive into, kind of your music thing. Been kind of following your evolution of music since I've moved out of Michigan. How is that process? How did that begin for you, and where is it at today? I know you mentioned some of that just moments ago, but like describe that process.
So at first, growing up, I really didn't think that, unless you went to the right schools for music and had the proper training, that making music wasn't something that was possible. You couldn't, I wasn't raised to think you could make a career out of it. So for a long time, I just put that idea of doing music on the back burner. But then, I saw my friends making music and I started getting into the music scene in that aspect. And once I realized that you didn't have to, I guess, have like a certain amount of like training to get into it, you could just go and do it. I was like, oh, I want to give this a try. And so I auditioned for a few different projects that didn't pan out. And eventually I started making music with a friend. My first project was called The Aftermath. And I sang and they played piano and I wrote for it.
Nice.
And then at that time I started teaching myself how to play ukulele as well. And eventually my first project kind of fizzled out and I was left to just kind of, I still wanted to do music and I still had this drive to do it, but I didn't have anyone to work with. And somebody suggested, why don't you just work alone? You don't have to worry about anyone else's schedule, anyone else's time. It's all yours to make the decisions. And so I started getting more serious about learning ukulele and started writing more for it. And that's kind of where the Maggie May thing evolved. And so it's been working at it since. And since starting the Maggie May project, I've also started singing for a band called the Fukushima Disease. They're like a post-hardcore kind of like punk band. So it's been fun getting to explore different styles of music and grow in
Okay.
that aspect.
Okay.
And I think my writing has grown with it too, which is exciting to see.
So what inspires your lyrics? Because they can be kind of like punchy and like, oh damn, she really just said that. So
Well, I think the hardest thing these days is to get people's attention for more than 30 seconds. Everyone wants to be distracted, and not really be in the moment sometimes. And so I wanted to create music that made people stop what they were doing, and in that aspect, make them do a double take. And so I think sometimes that means that you don't always, filter some of the songs, definitely aren't radio friendly.
yeah.
But some of the content makes people really think about what's going on in the world. And, I think everyone gets their inspiration from the world around them, but I think it's what you choose to address in the world.
True.
And so I think it's really important to talk about things with activism in terms of human rights, with, access to water, no police brutality, get rid of the jail systems, all of that.
Yeah.
Access to healthcare. And I think that's something we're all kind of struggling with right now. I think a lot of people's jobs depended on, their health care being a thing, and now they don't have work, they don't have the thing they need to survive.
Right.
And so I just try to address what I think is important, what people need to pay attention to.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on, let me adjust this. I can get some better lighting. What? Give me 1 second. Sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. Is that better lighting? I don't know. I can't tell. My thumbnail is so small I can't tell the lighting.
No, I can see you fine.
Is it good? Okay, cool. So tell me more about the Fukushima Daisies. How did you get tied with them?
So it kind of just fell into my lap. It was an interesting scenario. They had a show coming up, and their singer Ronnie hit me up asking if I wanted to sing a cover song with them. And I had never really interacted with anybody in this band before, and it was like 2 days before their show, and I'd never heard of this song. It was called Hobo Humpin' Slobo Babe from Whale. I think they're
Say that. I don't even. Okay, I like the tongue twister.
A song that I'd never fucking heard of, but I listened to it and I was like, I think I can learn this in 2 days. And I never sang, in a loud punk band before. It's always just been me and my ukulele, and but it was something I wanted to do.
Okay.
And so I showed up at this practice space. I had never met them really before, and we just dived right in, and we had the song ready by the show, and it all worked out. And
That's crazy.
For a while, I just hopped up with them and did like a guest spot as Maggie May. But as I was working with them, I really liked their music, their original stuff, and I kind of started writing myself in my head. I started writing background vocals because I'm like, maybe they'll ask me to be in the band, and like that'd be really cool. And then it ended up working out that I joined their band.
Nice.
So when the first practice rolled around, I already had myself written into all their music because I was
like,
ready to go.
Here, guys, I did it for you.
Yeah, and so now I've been writing some like full songs for them as well, just not just background stuff.
Nice.
But it's been amazing. Everyone in the band is incredibly supportive and talented, and we all come from different music backgrounds. And so to have 6 different people forming one song, I think really allows us to have a lot of diversity with how it's because some people don't always know what category to put us in, and I think that's not a bad problem to have. So,
keeps it open. That's cool.
They're great.
Is any of you guys' music on like Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes?
Our first album is on Bandcamp under the Fukushima Daisies, and we also have like a B-side of just some stuff that we recorded here and there that we just put up. And also, so I have a song that I wrote for them called Whiskey. It's on the B-side, and that didn't get put on our first album, but anything I make off that goes to our practice space. So if anyone wants to like buy the song for $1.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Help practice space open, that'd be cool.
And then you said this is at Bandcamp?
Yes.
Okay, bandcamp.com. I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's a lot of fun. So I'm not just saying that because of the band, but
not by. So the Bandcamp is the name of the album or this like site?
where you get it online. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is like a self-titled first album. So
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Let me just pull the next question. So being that your band members, I don't know their names, but it sounds like you collaborate with one another to make the song and composition and things like that. What side inspires you when you bring that creativity to songwriting, music creation, and things like that?
like what do I bring the lyrics or the instrumental or
more than this, no, let me fine. Let me be more specific. Like for the music side of things, is there a certain artist or band that has inspired you to kind of create a certain tone, or are you just like very experimental?
For me, I just like to kind of be all over the place. I listen to a lot of different music. I guess more for me, if I'm going to focus on like artist presentation, like for me, stage presence is a big deal. And so if I'm going to be like trying to, I guess, get inspired, I really like Rob Zombie. His stage presence is incredible. I don't know how he has so much energy. Like I don't think I could keep up with him. Like he runs around the whole time and is jumping and is interactive with the crowd. I saw Christopher play a few different times and he's just really weird. I saw him in New Orleans and he wore this like tight cat onesie on stage in like the middle of the day and was just like crawling on stage and hissing at people. And I just thought it was so strange and such a good way to get people's attention. And so like when we perform, I try to get crowds to like interact with us. During our show, like I have like communion wafers that I give out and I give communion to the audience. Little like communion wafers used for like church.
Okay. Gotcha.
So people will come up and like take communion with us and it's fun.
Nice.
And I like to jump into the audience and just like, you know, kind of rile people up and just anything I can get people to feel like they're connected to what we're doing, you know, not just watching the show, but also being a part of it, I think is important. So, I just try and pay attention to really high energy artists in terms of stage performance because exciting. So
interesting. I've never seen Rob Zombie or I think
Cher's another good one. She's
I mean
spot on.
Okay. I'll check it out. So do you guys travel a lot or is it just you solo?
You know, for both projects, I traveled quite a bit. Before all this craziness hit the Daisies and we went to LA actually and did a show. Oh, nice.
Okay, I remember that, yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And I got to perform my solo project and play with them. And then for my solo stuff, I've kind of gone all over. My favorite place has probably been New Orleans. I go down there every year, and this past October I played like a DIY punk festival down there. That was a lot of fun. We had bands from all over the country and outside of the United States come in for it. So that's been good. I enjoy that quite a bit.
What was that experience like for you? Kind of elaborate on that.
You know, it can be a little chaotic when you're traveling for like with a band, you know what I mean? You have people that you can hang out with at the venues and that you know, but when you're alone a lot of the time, that can be tough, especially as like a woman. I've done quite a bit of like touring alone and that can be overwhelming to be in a place where you're not familiar with and at a bar full of people you don't know. And usually I'm the only woman, like out of all the bands. And so it can be a little isolating at times. Yeah. But it also really forces you to rely on yourself because you don't know anybody, you know, when I'm out of state. I remember I went to Ohio one year and I thought I could save money by like going camping while I was on tour. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I'll go camping by myself. And it was great until I had to leave the bar at 2 a.m. and come back to like a dark campground by myself. And then I realized I'm terrified of the dark and I'm not good in nature. Oh gosh. And so, I mean, you know, it's interesting. It keeps you on your toes. That's for sure. There's never a dull moment. despite
Okay.
spending most of your time in a car.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, so, I want to ask about New Orleans, because I was just there in February. And
Okay.
so um, what was your experience like? And because you said you go there every year, and being that you're kind of like, it seems like through your Instagram, you're in, there's like this voodoo kind of ritualistic, like this other, almost like other side. And correct me if I'm wrong. Seems like you're kind of into that thing. So is that what draws you to New Orleans every year?
I love, okay, so pardon me if this sounds cheesy, but you're walking down the road and there's live music everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is my biggest inspiration, to be at a show and watching other people perform. And each road you go down, it's like a radio station is changing because there's so much diversity with it.
Okay.
There's jazz, there's, punk, there's blues,
Mm-hmm.
it's, there's country. And so no matter what you're looking for when you go to that town, you're going to find it.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of places in the world where, it's a Monday night, oh, what are we going to do? But,
Yeah.
there's always a million things to do.
Yeah.
And it's never a dull moment. And just, even beyond the music culture there, I love the weather. I love the warm weather in the bayous. I think if I
Yeah.
lived out there, I would want a place in the city, but I'd also want a place like way out in the middle of nowhere, and
Mm-hmm.
just hang out with some alligators. You can't do that.
There you go.
So
Usually not.
pull Betty White and Lake Placid and make some alligator friends.
There you go. Did you, when you were there, when you go, do you do any of like I mean, I guess first off, when you first were going down there, did you do any like the touristy things like Bourbon Street, Boyles and stuff?
I did spend a lot of time on Bourbon Street, and every time I do go down there, I do spend a lot of time in the heart of the city. The
Okay.
French Quarter is really interesting. They have a really cool market for small business owners and artists. And so I always try and contribute to, the local art when I go there. So I think that's really interesting. I haven't really done a lot of the touristy thing besides like going on a bayou tour. I like doing that every year when I go down.
Nice.
But
Okay.
but I still have yet to like go to the graveyards and stuff, because you actually have to schedule tours because people try and vandalize them so much.
Yeah.
So that can be a little crazy. So I don't know, I just kind of go with the flow when I'm down there, unless I have a gig that I have to be there for a certain time. Like I'll try and hit up the open mics. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to get to know local artists and to network. So the last time I was down there, I really made a point to like reach out to people, because I wouldn't mind like living there and doing music. So
yeah.
whenever I go down there, it's just about building connections and doing a lot of busking and everything.
Do you have any friends that live there now because you've been going there for so long?
Yes, I have quite a few friends that actually used to live like in Michigan, and then like their family started moving down there in bits and pieces, and then everyone just kind of moved to Louisiana. And I made some good friends with music the last time I was down there. So I think if I went there, it definitely wouldn't be hard to acclimate, because I do know quite a few people at this point. So
nice.
It's always nice to know people when you travel. So.
Okay. If you ever get the chance, Nicolas Cage actually has a gravestone for when he dies, and it's a giant triangle, and it keeps getting struck by lightning because of what it's made of. But and then it's ironic, but and then how would like Marie Laveau's gravesite?
Yes, I would like to go there at some point. That's definitely been on my kind of bucket list for tours while I'm down there.
Yeah, it's so weird. We did it, and it was like a rainy day, and it was really eerie, and like I think it's Sunday or something like that. It just felt weird as soon as you stepped into the graveyard. So
yeah, it's kind of the perfect state for creepy graveyard tours. It rains there a lot, so it's like kind of got that eerie vibe, but I dig it.
Yeah, they had this wall, and it's basically a wall of like graves, and because it's, the city is below sea level, over like hundreds of years, the wall has sunk like 3 or 4 feet. So there's graves like smushed in the ground.
Oh my God.
It's weird. The wall, it's kind of hard to see, but the wall kind of does like this and then levels out.
Yeah, the terrain there definitely takes a beating. A lot of the streets there are like super bumpy, which is always interesting because like I know a lot of drunk people riding cars on those bumpy roads. Like
Yeah.
doesn't go well. Sitting in a car going over those, but yeah, no, it's some of the buildings actually you can still see like water lines from Katrina and like how tall
Yeah.
the water was, and like it's way above your head.
Mm-hmm.
It's very overwhelming
Yeah.
to have that perspective. I couldn't imagine, living down there when it all happened.
Right. It's weird because I think I'm confusing. I might be confusing. I think it takes a minute to get into the city. I
Yeah,
think.
you gotta do some maneuvering through traffic
Yeah.
to get. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like going into Chicago. It takes a minute on the highway.
Yeah.
Get all like fully into it, but
Mm-hmm. All right. I feel like I'm getting loose. I'm drinking coffee, trying to wake up.
I feel like I'm drinking tea right now.
So I want to keep going on the music because I feel like it's really interesting. I'm not musically inclined, so if I like start asking questions or speaking about stuff that you're like, he really doesn't know what he's talking about, be like, hold on, that's cute, but that's not right.
Okay.
Let me see. Are you? Are you strictly like trying to just perform live, or are you trying to actually like also sell copies of your music physically or digitally?
It's always the aim to, do both, at least for me. For me, when I travel, my merch is how I pay for my gas and my food.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important. My first album isn't actually like for sale digitally yet. I should probably do that, but I do have like physical copies that I sell at shows. But I also really love performing. I think with my content in particular, it's very important to do it in person because some of the things that I talk about, sometimes people, they might want extra clarification for after the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're not always easy things to talk about. And
Yeah.
so it's a little easier when you can do that in person and almost have a discussion with people while
Okay.
you're on stage, because you also want to be able to gauge their reactions. Like I've been doing like live streaming shows, and like it's weird because I can't see anyone's face. I can't
Okay.
tell how they're feeling about what I'm doing, if they like the song or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it is important to me that people, uh, even if the content is uncomfortable sometimes, that they, are enjoying, the show still. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
people to leave,
Right.
completely disturbed. So
Completely.
just a little
When
bit.
when you when you live stream, is there like a certain like comment section that viewers can like leave messages on?
So I can see people while I'm playing, like talking back to me.
Okay.
But it's just so weird because I can't, like, for me, sometimes tone is hard to pick up on. And so it's like, you can't always read their tone when they're talking. I'm like, okay, is
Right.
this like good or not? So
Yeah. Okay.
it can be tricky, and not being able to like hear their voice. So
Do you just do it through like Facebook or some other site?
yeah, I do it through my Maggie May Facebook page, and I live
Okay.
stream through there. Yep,
Gotcha.
and then I make it public and shareable so people can like put it on their own page if they want other people to see it. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
I tried to make it fairly accessible. So
And how often do you do that with COVID
so I
going
did
on?
a show, I want to say last week. Like you said earlier, time moves funny with the lockdown. So I want to say it was last week, but who knows these days.
Right.
But I'm aiming to do another one hopefully next weekend. And what I want to do with that one in particular is play both my EPs all the way
Okay.
through.
Nice.
So I have an EP in October coming out called Eat the Rich, and it's
Is it Eat the Rich?
yeah.
Okay.
And it's very political based EP, talking about different forms of like government corruption and just like how
Mm-hmm.
our society handles it. And then I'm doing a EP called City Habits that I want to put out in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just more personal stuff about like dealing with like personal relationships, not so much politics.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
For those, not some newer content. So
Okay. Let me see. I think I mean, I've kind of just going through the questions, and part of the conversation, what we're having, has answered some of those questions. But I think like the last question officially I have is like, what are some of your long-term goals for yourself, your music, and just, life in general?
So music, I would like to just keep putting out new stuff, getting a chance to travel, meet new people. I would like at some point to be able to be in a position where I have a month-long tour or 2-month-long tour,
Nice.
not just in the United States, but around the world. I would like to travel as much as I can with it. So as long as I keep doing that, I'll be happy.
Okay.
Beyond music, I try to stay busy. In September, I'll be hopefully enrolling for EMT school and getting certified as an EMT.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So outside of music, I do like a lot of activism work, and like I got registered as a street medic in February. And street medics
Congrats.
go to zones and administer like medical care if people need it, or just generally try and keep the calm and the peace during protests. And I thought that getting certified as an EMT would help me do that better.
Okay.
And then when all the stuff happened with the pandemic, originally I wasn't going to get certified until 2021 after I put out my second EP. But I kind of realized that needed to happen sooner rather than later because they need medical workers. So
yes, desperately.
That's in September is to get certified, and so we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it.
Gotcha. Okay. What kind of going off topic here and just talking about daily life, what is life like up in Michigan with COVID going on?
It's tense. So we were the first state, to my knowledge, to have protests about the stay-at-home order in Lansing.
I think I saw some footage of that.
I don't agree with it. I think a lot of the people that are protesting have never really experienced oppression, so they think that oppression means not being able to get a haircut when it's convenient to them, which is very frustrating when, like, as somebody in like the LGBTQ community, I've experienced what it's like for my government to tell me what I can and can't do with my body. As a woman, I've experienced this as well, and so it's just like I've had the government tell me no just because they could, and have fucked with my rights. And so to see people that are complaining that aren't understanding that, this isn't a permanent thing. At some point, we will be able to interact with each other again, but the longer we draw this out, the more people get sick and the more pressure puts on the healthcare system. And so to have the protests that stemmed other protests throughout the United States start in Michigan is very frustrating because our governor is doing everything she can to keep us safe. And
she's newly elected, right?
She is. And so I can imagine what it's like to be thrown into all this, and I understand why people are doing it. They're afraid. And when you act out of fight or flight and there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to run, it triggers a lot of panic with people, but panic causes harm. And so I think everyone just needs to take a deep breath, and realize that like we are all in this, our incomes are all being affected. Everyone, is equally going through this, and maybe take an opportunity to understand that like this is something we all can relate to, and maybe try and just bond through it instead of fighting each other.
Right.
So but I also see a lot of people taking it seriously. This is a very small group of people that triggered shockwave, essentially. But we all feel that way. A lot of us really just want this to be over as soon as possible, and we're taking those steps to, wear our masks when we go out and wash our hands. And,
Do you have a custom mask, or you just wear like a N95 or something?
So before all this was happening, when I was getting my gear together for like my street medic bag, I actually was going to order an N95, and I just didn't get the chance. And since I'm not currently a medical worker, I feel like I shouldn't, buy one right now. So I've been, for a while I was using bandanas, but now I have a couple custom masks that got made for me. So
nice.
Yep. What about you? Are you staying safe?
Yeah. I'm honestly losing my mind a bit. I'm happy. Here's my mask. But I'm glad that, being in the film industry, set work is just non-existent right now. But I'm grateful and lucky to have opportunity to edit projects that people need done. So that kind of helps supplement some income during this crisis. So otherwise I'd be like, start selling limbs and sperm or something. I don't know. But
luckily, before all this hit, I had some savings. Originally, it was money that I was saving up so I could live in New Orleans next year. So I never intended on draining my savings on having to pay for food, which has been tough.
Right.
But it is nice, the idea of being able to work from home. And when I get certified as an EMT, they don't make shit. So it'll be nice to have something that I can, have some kind of income coming in to help with those and stuff. So I think once this is all over, I'll still be using it. But it just kind of is what it is.
Nice. Okay. So Kevin, tell me about Kevin. I love cats.
He is a trash panda that I found by a dumpster probably 4 years ago now. So I have 2 cats. He's the first one I got after my cats from childhood passed away. So I was bringing in groceries one day, and I had no intention on getting a cat for a long time because they live forever. And I hear this like meowing sound behind me, and I don't know if anyone else has had this dream of where you're just walking somewhere and a cat chooses you, because it totally happened and it was amazing.
Yes.
I'd always wanted this to happen, and this skinny little cat just runs up to me and immediately flops on his back and just starts meowing at me, and I'm like, oh my God.
What do I do?
Hello. And, I looked to try and find if anyone owned him, but we found out later on that he was like a feral cat who just wasn't very good at living in the wild. He's not a good hunter by any means.
Okay.
And so I ended up letting him live with me, and then I got his sister Queenie so there's a cat cafe in Grand Rapids.
Ooh. A
Happy Cat Cafe, and you can go there and you pet cats and drink tea and do yoga, and it's like amazing.
Dude, I would never leave.
I know, it's incredible. And I found this little 11-year-old cat at the time, and she was kind of standoffish, and they told me she was not to be blunt, but kind of a bitch, and I was like, okay, me too. Tight, we can bond through this. And I just wanted to give her a home that wasn't so chaotic with so many people running around. And so I adopted her, and she's about 12 now, and Kevin is 4. And they're pretty good with each other. They, sleep next to each other and all that once in a while. They'll scuffle, but I think it's just a cat thing. Okay. So, but Kevin, he ends up in a lot of my social media. He's kind of a ham for the camera. So if I'm like taking pictures at home or something, like he knows, and he's like, you need to take a picture of me because I'm perfect, and show me to your friends. So, and he loves people when they come over. He's very friendly.
Okay.
So, he's a good boy.
I'm trying to find. Is this a picture of him when he was like a baby?
So that's Queenie.
Oh, that's Queenie. Okay.
Picture,
I was confused.
So it's crazy. She's 11 or 12 now, but she looks like a kitten still. She's so tiny.
Really? Wow.
When I got her, when I first met her, I thought she was a baby.
Okay.
She's just really tiny, and Kevin's kind of fat, so she looks extra small in contrast to a 15-pound cat.
Okay, true.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What are some of Kevin's like quirks or personality traits?
He is so loud. He is one of the loudest cats I've ever met. He will just talk to you all day. I'll be walking around the house and he's under my feet talking. He's also very cuddly. I've never met a cat that wants to be held so much. I will just sit there and hold him for like 20 minutes.
Really? Wow.
And happy. And that can be a adorable thing or super annoying in the mornings. Once he realizes I'm awake, he is like right in my face. And he's like, you need to pay attention to me. And every morning he'll sit down on his desk and I'll just pet him and hold him, and he's completely content. So nice. He's funny in that way. Definitely one of the more needy cats I've ever met. Usually cats are like, don't touch me, leave me alone. And I'm like, but he almost reminds me more of a dog or like a small child. He's very like, pick me up and love me now. It doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
So I've been like putting my groceries with him on my shoulder, just like doing stuff around the house because he doesn't want to be put down. So he'll just sit up on my shoulder while I do stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
interesting. Funny. Interesting. So yeah, me and Megan adopted a cat probably about last year around this time, and we were actually, so we have Patches. Megan's dog that she's had for about 7 years. It's like a Pomeranian mix. Such an asshole.
Those ankle biters, man, they can
Yeah.
they can be something else.
So we were at PetSmart, and I think we were picking them up, and I think one of the adoption agencies was there that day, and we walked by and we saw who's now Layla there, and I'm like, oh. So it's kind of like that moment. Hi, do you want to show off Patches?
Oh my God, let me see your pets. I kind of want to grab my cat now.
Patches.
Oh my God, hi.
He's a jerk.
Say
Oh
hi.
my God, what a cutie.
He's
I like
so
cutie.
not interested.
He does not care.
Can you find Layla?
It's like camera shot. I kind of want to grab Kevin now. Is
Grab
that okay?
Kevin. She's grabbing
Oh my
Layla.
God. Okay, cool. I'm bringing the cat in.
You find her?
Yeah, he decided to crawl on my cat.
She's sleeping.
So
Shocker. Oh, look at
Kevin.
Kevin. Hey, buddy, do you want to be part of this? Come on. Come on.
Can you get down? Get down.
Oh my gosh. He is a mountain climber.
Adorable.
He's so funny, dude. He just. Oh. Say hi, bud.
Can you say hi, Kevin? Or not?
He's just so interested in other things. Nice butthole.
This is my life, dude.
You pumpkin.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Happy sitting on.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. So Kevin, glad to have you on the podcast.
There we go. Okay. Cool. He doesn't want to be held. He just wants to
Right.
climb, apparently.
Yeah,
I'm a jungle gym for that.
basically. Cat condo. The walking cat condo. Cool. Well, I have nothing else. Do you have anything?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay.
I'm really glad that you had me on the show, though. This was
Yes.
glad
Yes.
we got to catch up a little bit.
Definitely. Definitely.
It's been a long time since film club.
A long ass time. I think about that every once in a while. I'm like,
But I still have the shirt. I still have
Do
the
you?
shirt. Film
you
club.
do? Should
Yeah.
like frame that shit. I don't even know where mine went, to be honest.
I think it's gonna end up. I want to turn all my Bandcamp shirts that I don't wear anymore to like blanket. So I think it'll probably end up in that collection. But it has "Let's Go to the Winchester" on the back from Shaun of the Dead.
Do you have it by chance? Or could you take a picture of the
I
shirt
will.
later? Okay.
I will. Yeah, I'm like my laundry is. Yeah, I don't fold my clothes, so
Okay.
it's somewhere I know for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I
as soon as
honestly-
I find it, I'll send a picture your way.
Okay. Yeah, I just forgot what it looked like.
They're
So
not that.
Oh, okay. You know, we're in college. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. I miss it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, not the paying for school, but the
Right. The other part, everything else but the paying part. So, well, Maggie May, I appreciate you coming on and being a guest and, catching up.
No, this has been great. This is a good thing to look forward to in my day, something to plan for. And now I know what day it is. Because
Right.
So, yeah, track time.
There we go. Woo. Well, again, thank you so much. And yeah, that wraps up this episode of Like People in the Pursuit of Art. Thank you so much for all watching and listening out there.
Oh.
Bye, Kevin.
Say bye. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
See ya.
So I guess, I'm kind of out of questions, so I'm going to open up the floor to you to ask any questions, say something that's on your mind, or just, continuing the conversation, however you'd like.
I'm not sure.
Or if you don't, we can transition to something else.
Yeah, I don't know what to say really.
Okay.
It's at home, which isn't an excuse because I'm home. So.
Okay. Well, if you don't, that's fine. So I guess at this point, I kind of like allow you to kind of plug yourself.
For like social media stuff.
Yeah, if you got social media, like, hey, follow me or listen to my stuff here or there.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to hear my first album, it is on SoundCloud. And also there's a couple little demo tracks that just never really ended up on albums. I also don't remember how to play them anymore. So
Oh,
probably will never end up on albums. But yeah, if you want to look up Maggie May GR on SoundCloud, I have my first album and some demos there. On Instagram, you can follow me for updates on live shows, new music, pictures of my cat, if anyone's interested. But yeah, so Maggie May GR on Instagram, and then also Maggie May on Facebook. I have that's where I do the live streams from. So
Okay.
yeah, if anyone wants to give a listen, I also have videos of like pretty much all my stuff. So